I've got Erica again on. We are in our 2022 first month of the year. There's no question that 2021 was fascinating with a lot of interesting wins. I'm going to talk through some of the stuff you might be interested, listener or watcher, in some of the numbers here we're going to show you. I think the numbers speak for themselves, but let's walk through these clients. We're going to start with one that traditionally, I think they've been with us for a while, so we've got an idea of their business. So why don't you take over, Erica, and talk about some of the things you're seeing in this one. I see some pretty good numbers, so that's good to see.
Yeah, so this was a client. They have been running with us for several years, and they've been running a standard Botox ad, $10 a unit for new patients, since the beginning of time, basically. And, you can see that ad is still running pretty well, $10 per lead, pretty much. And they came to me and they said, what else can we do? We really want to, pull some filler patients, but we don't want to increase our budget too much. So I came up with the idea to run a lip flip ad, which we've seen successful in some other accounts. We launched this ad right before Christmas, during a time that is, seasonally low, and it still did amazing. On 14 days, the client spent $222 and generated 51 inquiries with a cost per result of only $4. Client is excited. They booked probably 10 of these appointments already. And I think this is an amazing way for people to, get into the ad space that may not have a huge budget. This is a crazy opportunity.
So what's the revenue you think per patient from that service?
So the actual lip flip itself is $99. They booked 10 so far. So just on the service alone, it's $1,000 in revenue. But where the client is going to make the real money is in the upsell, if they end up doing actual lip filler or any other fillers or Botox to the rest of the face.
Right. I think the concept is database. Who has the more active database, right? With clients that are willing to put a credit card down, no matter what they buy, whether it's small, big, or large, because we're building customers that are inevitably going to create a lifetime value that's higher. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, but I have conversations with clients all the time, and they're, well, I don't want to do the low end services because I'm not going to get return on my investment. And I say, well, would you rather have 51 clients coming in at $4 a piece that you could upsell to multiple packages, or would you rather have 2 clients that come in for $3,600 full service? I mean, at the end of the day, your lifetime value of those two $3,600 patients is nothing compared to 50 patients that would come in on a $90 that you could upsell to thousands of dollars. You're talking like 50x what you could potentially make.
Exactly. And on, that 50, their family, their friends, everyone they're going to tell, it has so much more opportunity than just, 2 or 3 patients, like you mentioned, at a higher value per patient.
This is good stuff. And then the Botox at $10 a lead, I mean, that's sort of standard. We tell everybody you should be getting $10 leads, in general, not all areas, but, in general, it's a good number to sort of circle around. And, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 6, somewhere around there is going to become a patient. I mean, obviously leads are leads, not everybody converts. A third are going to be in a mode of trying to decide what they want to do. A third are going to be, bookable, and then a third are going to be, sort of tire kickers. So you think about that model, but still at $10 a lead, even if you're doing a third, you've got a third ready to go that should be able to be booked. That's $30 a patient. And then let's say at the very, very top end, even the other 30 that are in the middle somewhere of deciding, that's still $60 a Botox patient. You're making 200, 300, 400, 500, depending on how many areas you're doing. the return is there. So it's just putting your paddle out into the ocean and just getting your ads running.
Exactly, Matt. And then having, a great nurture strategy to maintain these clients for, lifetime.
Right. Those 41 leads, although not all of them book as into paying patients now, are 41 people that you market to on Black Friday and get a 2-for-1 gift card at $400. So, that's, there's so much more to this that people only see the surface area. We see the long-term situations when we see patients who turn on a SMS campaign or an email campaign when they're down and don't have any sales, and they just basically floor the market in one shot. And it's because they have a bigger database than the next guy.
Exactly. Building that database is so important. I tell clients this all the time because when they need to pull a lever quick, like you just mentioned, if those lists are there and ready for them, text marketing, email marketing, is huge. And granted, you paid for these leads at some point, but it's a way to leverage your existing list without having to run ads at that current time. It's also great for events. Many of our clients come to us and they say, oh, we're doing a cool sculpting event next week. We're doing a quo event, but we don't necessarily have ad budget. And the first question I ask is, how many leads do we have in the database? Like, let's tap all of the existing people first.
Right. Great. Good stuff. Always works. Let's get on the next one.
Okay. This client, this is a testosterone TRT campaign that we're running on Facebook. Also, clients in Boca. We've been running this client now, I would say about a year. Great success. They were at the point where they almost had too many leads. They had to increase their manpower on the other end to manage the patients and the clients because it became so overwhelming. In the industry, I would say, average industry standard CPL for this type of service can be anywhere from $50 to $70. And you can see we're running at $35 cost per lead. They spent $1,700 last month and we generated 50 results for this client.
Right. Now, HRT, BHRT, any hormone related topics, it's important to address this elephant in the room, which is how many of those 50 turn out to be recurring revenue patients. Because what ends up happening is the way that this business works, they usually come in for blood work to see if they qualify and so forth. And then, you run a package of usually 6 to 12 months. And I would say on average, when I talk to these guys who are running the HRT, it is a parallel processing, meaning that you've got people who are still, there are certainly people who are going to come right in and just sign up. But there are a middle group that are still in the understanding phase. But what we also always notice is if you can get the blood work done, there's all sorts of dialogue that happens. And I don't mean to put this into like, hey, using scare tactics. But once you get the blood work done, almost 90% of those potential patients become valuable candidates. And now it's a decision on, okay, let's really look at what's going on. And it's inevitable that, this is a little bit off the beaten path of aesthetics because you're trying to improve not only physical characteristics, but someone's actually doing something to make a mental change as well. Because a lot of that is emotional changes that happen when you start to do testosterone. And
yeah, energy, depression, anxiety, all of those things.
Correct. So we're talking a whole different game plan when you start to think about the patient journey, the patient dialogue, and you're literally now getting someone to come through a different wavelength, I guess you could say is the best way to do it. But what I was trying to get at is that the inevitable question to me is always that same thing, which is, okay, great, I spent $1,700. What was my return? And I think the question becomes, give me a time period. So your $1,700 is spent, but you've now got 12 patients that are on a year-long contract at $199, and potentially maybe even coming in for other services in between as they come in for those sits. So
If I
So
could just
tell
interrupt you, Matt, quickly too, this client in particular, they make a very big profit on the upsell to the peptides on
correct,
these patients.
correct. But what I was going to say is if someone wants to ask me, what did that $1,783 turn into from a revenue perspective for them? I would say, okay, let's map those clients over a year, and then I'll give you a number. And you're going to be surprised it's going to be probably over $20,000. The reason why that will be is that there'll be so many variables based into that because you're going to get at least a third of those will come in and go directly onto plans that will be 6 months or greater. So you're looking at somewhere between $1,200 to $2,400 on just that alone. But those don't come in and do prepaid; they typically do monthlies. So you really do have to go. All right, let's think about the lifetime value of an example client that you have that will come in for HRT, including upsells. Show me one of those over a period of a year, and I'll give you a return on investment. And it's usually about 7 to 10x of the amount spent you put into the ad spend. So just as a ballpark number, that's where you're going to end up from a lifetime value, at least for the first gestation of this patient. Now, there could be more relevant things that would happen, as you know, because a client like this has multiple services like peptides and IV therapy, and I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, there's a lot more than just trying to look at one-sided options. So this is something to consider when you are running multiple month types of recurring revenue. That it is a very interesting business. And a lot of the guys that are doing this are doing it really well because we're getting what I consider the rebound effect, which is that now that they've gotten better, their story starts to emulate through their dialogue with their friends and family and da 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 da. And then you get these tremendous referral assets that start to come to you. So it's a different set of circumstances than aesthetics, because aesthetics is okay. We know what it is. It's Botox. It's cool sculpting. It's whatever. But when someone's changed their emotional attitude, that's a completely different dialogue they have with their referral base, and that's when things become very interesting. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure that we cleared a couple of different dialogues in that. So is there anything else on this one that we want to talk about?
No, I think we covered this one pretty well.
Okay, next.
Okay, let's move into AdWords. And I thought I had it up. Let's see. Let's look at a client that actually does Botox and fillers on Google. Usually, we talk about this on Facebook because it's a lower cost per lead. This client actually started off on Facebook, and they struggled a bit because they were not able to convert some of the leads. They were lower quality. So we immediately pivoted. That's the thing. We are talking to our clients, every few days. We're very involved in what's actually happening on the other side. It's not just about delivering leads, but are these leads responsive? Are they coming in? What's actually happening? So we quickly moved this client over to Google AdWords, and huge home run success story. We launched it in December, and it came out of the gate with a cost per lead of only $53 and a conversion rate of 13%. Industry standard conversion rates for Google are 3 to 4%. So this was pretty incredible. Client was, down in the dumps, couldn't convert any leads, to now super excited. I believe out of these 34 conversions, they physically have 12 people who have already visited the practice. And these are high quality leads. They're from Google. They were searching for the service. They tell me that about 50% have actually upsold into fillers, and the average ticket value was around $800. So on 12 patients, you do the math, we're between 8 and 9K on an $1,800 ad spend when they only have been doing this for 30 days. These numbers are only going to improve as we continue to put in the optimizations.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So you hit it on the head, which is that working with someone who's going to help you pivot when things don't do what they're supposed to do and having the trust to solve problems that the practitioner shouldn't have to solve, right? And I think this is what I run into quite a bit with in the world of just having discussions every day with literally a half a dozen practices. A lot of the problems in the marketing business is that the practitioner has been leaned on to say, okay, it's not working, give us a better idea. We know that this is where the industry starts to have crossroads of different competitive features. And if you're a medical practice, whether it's, this aesthetics business or it's chiropractic or gastro or pediatric or whatever it might be, we support so many different medicals, but we do a lot in this space. You've got to get a team that can pivot, make the decisions, run the ads, and test things out so that you're not involved in trying to guess. And I think that's where I look at this and I go, okay, there was an issue. We came back, turned it around without sort of saying, hey, give us a better offer, or what do you think? There's always going to be conjecture after you retool things. But if you have this knowledge base that we have, which is we can check through hundreds of other accounts, thousands of campaigns, and say, okay, this worked here, this didn't work there. Having that ability to have that deep set of knowledge base to at least work on hunches instead of guesses based off of the network effect of having all these different engagements that we've had really does maximize the value of a good partnership. And I'd say, whether it's us working with you or another agency, make sure that you have someone who's got some deep experience and years of doing the niches so that you can leverage their experience from the different campaigns that have run and what's been successful. Now, it doesn't always work out, but in a lot of cases we find, we can do turnarounds on, broken campaigns. And we pick up a lot of clients from folks that they can't figure it out, and we pick it up and we run it and it works. And they're like, I don't know why this is working. Well, there's a lot of factors. It could be the patient journey, it could be the follow-up mechanisms. It could be the fact that they don't have a call center, to pick up the phone and just book the clients when they're hot. I mean, these are all things that need to be put into effect. So I really appreciated this conversation, Erica. I think it's a wonderful thing to see turnarounds like this when we especially when we know the market's there, the business is there, the clients are there. It's just a matter of connecting the dots.
Well, and I think another thing, you slightly touched on it about how we were able to pivot so quickly. To run the keyword Botox in Google, you have to have a special certificate from Google, a healthcare online pharmacy cert, which can be challenging to get, if you don't really know your way around how to, make that request. And, that's something that, we have been so successful at for customers is getting that Botox certificate within 24 to 48 hours of submitting. So I also think that was a crucial piece to the success. They don't have a lot of competitors in the market that have the certificate and knew how to get it. So this was really a home run for them.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you in February. Thanks for your amazing content as always, because you're running the show here in the background, and I'm obviously talking to a lot of clients, but you're running the factor of this is the real element, which is the actual mechanics. And that's just an amazing thing to see when you start to have value being associated with a good solid set of people who can run the ship behind you. All right, we'll catch you in February. Again, thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Matt.